Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see what if Naruto got harem with Yoruichi, Tia, Nelliel and Konan. Part 2. If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, so without wasting any time let's get into the video. I stayed silent for a few seconds to beepize the male in front of me. I took note of the power he was trying to hide, the fact that his body wasn't his actual body sensor ability combined with yang release, and for some reason he reminds me of Rinne-Sharingan. I don't know if that's good or is it bad, hoping for good though. So I decided not to prolong anything and be blunt. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I introduce myself before continuing. Now that the pleasantries are out of the way, can you tell me who are you? He tried to act innocent, but I could clearly see right through it. I believe I've introduced myself, Uzumaki-san. I narrow my eyes, let cut to the chase. I can sense your weird energy, along with your other companions, who should really come out and introduce themselves, I called out from behind me and outside the door. As if anything were to slip my senses and sensor ability. Strangest thing though, his expression didn't seem all that negative, if anything he looked amused. This man may have Rinne-Sharingan's demeanor, but that's just his outward appearance. I can't let my guard down until I determine if he's a treat or not, I thought. Well, Uzumaki-san has spoiled the surprise. You four might as well come out, he said in a nonchalant manner, which tells me he has prepared something in the event that I decide to act hostile. My mind began to race, formulating an escape plan and an attack plan, but a sudden stiff reminded me of my weakened body. Not good. I might jutsu to escape and engage them. If they prove troublesome, great. Now I'm starting to sound like Shikamaru. The door opened, revealing three individuals I've met. The first guy was a tall, muscular, light tan-skinned man. Dark hair and has a large handlebar mustache, which is connected to his long sideburns. He wore a pair of rectangular-shaped glasses. And his attire consists of a white muscle shirt with regular pants and a blue apron with a name tag, Tessite Tsukubishi. The next was a shy-looking kid that reminded me a bit of Hinata. She has round purple eye and long black hair with a purple tint on it that was tied in pigtails. A perpetual blush on her cheeks, and wore a white t-shirt with a logo and knee-length pink skirt with white dots. Her name tag reads Yoruichi. The next kid, well, to be honest, reminds me of Dog Breath Kiba. A small kid with red hair. He wore a white t-shirt, much like the girl. The shirt has the same logo printed on the front, and blue 3/4 length trousers, with the bottom noticeably turned up. A gaki name was on his name tag as Jinta Hanakari. Behind me I heard the window open, and I glanced back to see the back cat I tried to pet, but closer examination, and I could tell this was a disguised. You might as well reveal your true self. I can sense you ain't a cat, I said, and to my surprise the cat laughed, a masculine laugh that I could tell was part of the disguise. And here I thought I could trick you. Oh well, the cat sighed and a familiar smoke cloud appeared, which was associated with a transformation jutsu, and when it cleared my eyes widened. Gone was the cute black cat and was replaced by an gorgeous naked woman with long purple hair, golden colored eyes, a slender yet feminine built frame, chocolate dark skinned, and E-cup breast. Okay, I'm still asleep somehow. Good night, I said before lie down and pulled the covers, garnering a melodic laugh from the dark skinned beauty and from Urahara. Haha, no, Uzumaki-san, you are most definitely awake, I heard the eccentric man said, clearly amused by the situation. I sighed and sat up again. Can you please put some cloths on, I asked, refusing to look back. I stiffened slightly when I felt a pair of arms wrap around my neck and a two wonderful molds of flesh press up against my back. Why, you don't like Uzumaki-kun? She whispered in a seductive and teasing voice. Oh hell no, no one, and I mean no one, gets the upper hand on me. I do like what I see. Nico-chan, I started with an equally seductive voice, and it's taking all my self-control not to take you right here, right now, I said back. Oh my, so forward of you, Uzumaki-kun. Yes, I'm a very straightforward person, and if you continue this I'm afraid that I lose myself and ravage you until you pass out in sexual bliss. I let out a feral growl and release a bit of pheromones, which Kikbi thought me to do. I saw Urahara eyes widen, and thanks to my enhanced vision I can see from the reflection of his eyes, the dark-skinned woman was blushing madly. I decided to take it up a notch, and in the blink of an eye I pushed her up against the wall and placed my left hand around her waist. You smell nice, Nico-chan, I said, getting a whiff of her wonderful hair. I brought my right hand up. I was strong enough to carry a person with one hand, thanks to my years of training, and cupped her face, then her lips in an intimate manner. Then I softened my gaze in a loving and wanting way. Thanks to my hearing I could hear her heartbeat faster, causing me to grin inwardly. Her heartbeat even more when I slowly leaned in for a kiss. Her entire body heat up, and I could smell her growing lust. She leaned for a kiss and closed her eye, but then when I was close enough to touch her lips I suddenly pulled back. Got you, Nico-hime, I said with an amused look and laugh as she realized what just happened. I heard Urahara laugh loudly behind. Haha, I can't believe it, he out-teased the great Yoruichi Shiman, I heard him say. So that's her name, how fitting for someone like her. Well, she does have that royal beauty and aura around her, must be a clan, I concluded. She promptly walked out with a hefty blush on her face, and 10 minutes later she came back, wearing a black tank top and blue short shorts. She had that determined look on her that convey her hidden message in them, "I'll get you back for that." I respond with a triumphant smirk and convey my own message, "You will try but you fail. Yup, it's on now." As much as I would hate to have to interrupt your lover's argument, Urahara stated in a teasing way, getting a tick mark on Yoruichi's forehead and a chuckle from me, "We were in the middle of something," he reminded. I nodded and asked in a serious tone, "Yes we were. I would like to know who you people are exactly. I can sense that none of you are humans, and I know for a fact that you all can't sense that I'm not exactly normal to be considered as human. I think you should start first, Uzumaki-san, after all we did help you after all," Urahara pointed out. "Well, no use to beat around the bush, might as well explain who I am, or rather what I am very well, but I ask, refrain from any sort of question until I finish. Is this acceptable?" Urahara and Yoruichi nodded. I began telling them first about my world, giving an abridged history from everything I knew about history and what the old man sage told me. Then I told them about chakra and the people who can utilize it and Kekkei Genkai. After that I told them about the hidden villages and leaders. Finally I told them about the 4th Shinobi War and my involvement, as well as how I ended the war. Then I was sent here by Shinju by the decision of the other 8 Bijk to start a new life while they watch over humanity and maintain the peace I work hard for. By reminding the people the threat that was me, I finished. Leaving just enough to keep them guessing what my actual abilities are capable of, while maintaining that honest look on my face. The best kind of lies is telling the truth and turning it into a lie. I left out the part where Shinju took 50% of my original power, though I didn't need the other 50% as I was used to fighting at half strength, so it wasn't new to me. Besides, I could increase my current power when I begin training. Then I realized something. Also, I want to ask, was there a woman with blue hair with me? I asked in a hopeful tone. "She's in the room next to you." A tidal wave of relief washed over me and a smile formed from my lips, "But she's still asleep, we'll take you to her," Yoruichi added. "What's condition first?" I asked. "She's still asleep." Tessai stared. "From the diagnostics I've run, nothing is wrong with her body, she just feels tired or drained," the bearded man finished. I nodded and stood up, wobbling a bit, "But otherwise fine, take me to her please," I pleaded. Once I saw Konan, I immediately activated my jutsu and scanned her body for any irregularity in her chakra. It seems Shinju took a bit of her chakra as well, albeit not as much. "Yours, Naruto-kun?" I mentally nodded at that. If I had to guess her current chakra level, it is around A rank to low S rank. "Is the lady okay, Uzumaki-san?" the shy kid asked. I smiled and nodded yes. From what I could tell from my jutsu, Konan-chan only suffered chakra loss and exhaustion. "Nothing life-threatening and she should be awake tomorrow," I said before continuing, "which reminds me, when did we arrive?" "Yesterday around 12 midnight, the two of you actually smashed off the rooftop." I quickly apologies for that, but Urahara simply waved it off. "Also, is that the Rinne-Sharingan you told us about?" Urahara asked, obviously intrigued by the legendary eye, as we went down to the living room. "Yes, I confirm, but originally I did not have these eyes," I stated as we sat down. "Well, I went and prepared tea while the kids went off to bed, though not before the red hair kid gave me a glare for some reason. I and Konan might have smashed into his room," I mentally concluded. It was separated into 2 other jutsu eye, the Rinnegan and the Sharingan. I inherited both eyes from my mother's side of the family. Unlike me though, Kosan never unlocked the 2 jutsu eyes. I speculated that it was sealed, but that was unlikely. The second made more sense. "My mom didn't suffer any harsh event that would cause both eyes to activate," I said in a bittersweet voice. Both Urahara and Yoruichi seemed to notice the change of tone in my voice, because they didn't ask how I awoke the Rinnegan and Sharingan. They must have guessed that something bad happened to me that caused me to unlock my eyes, or they simply respect my privacy enough to not to ask an obvious painful past. I then explain, in small detail, the ability of both eyes, such as the gravity manipulation of the Rinnegan eye and the copy ability of the Sharingan eye. I explained the 3 levels of the Sharingan eye and the requirements to unlock the last 2 levels. I was fortunate enough that when the sage fused my Dojutsu Tider, it somehow advanced my Sharingan to its eternal stage. I finished and thanked Tessai for the tea. "Also, this eye of mine allows me to be immune to any sort of illusion," I added, nearly forgetting an important part of the Rinne-Sharingan eye, but I didn't tell them that I can play someone under illusion. "Why?" "Well, I don't yet exactly trust them with that kind of information, plus I haven't even practiced using the Gain Jutsu ability or any abilities of my Jutsu has. I hope to Kami I can still use Kage Bunshin." For a flick of a second something flashed in both Urahara's and Yoruichi's eyes, but it was too quick for me to discern. "Thank you for explaining, Uzumaki-san. Now I believe it's our turn to explain." Urahara started his explanation on them being souls reapers or death gods, hollows, and finally what lead them into hiding. "So let me get this straight," I started. "The 3 are Shinigami, death gods or soul reapers. You fight hollows, and to my understanding lost souls or souls that have died traumatically. This guy asks it sock-face Urahara, and Yoruichi fell on the floor laughing while Tessai chuckled at how I pronounce Msukazen. And you too, Urahara and Tessai, were wrongfully accused of Hormkar hullification of your fellow Shinigami, all because of a glowing orb called Mjioku. Yoruichi being the kind Samaritan she is, and because her little brother, in all but blood, could not handle himself alone and would get in trouble in less than 5 minutes, decided to help the two of you. Did get it right? I summarized. Yup, down to a T, Uzumaki-kun, Yoruichi replied, snickering at Urahara for my remark about him, well said. Shopkeeper grumbled on a dark corner of the room, with dark stormy rain clouds above his head. I blinked once before asking, is he okay? Yoruichi nodded, yeah, he's fine, don't mind him, she simply said like it was an everyday occurrence. Okay, moving along. I turned serious for my question, do you want me to deal with Aizen? Urahara did a 180 and turned serious as well, making me think I was in a sort of fiction or an anime, not right now, since he's still part of the Gate 13. That and we don't know how many traitors that are conspiring with Aizen. For now I believe it would be wise for you to train and get a handle on how to fight against Shinigami and Hollows. I nodded, and Urahara gestured for me to follow. Welcome, the shopkeeper said, and we descended into darkness. The only visible thing was a small light lining the wall. Yet even then it did not grant any true illumination. It was just enough that I could see the rungs I was using to climb down. How far down do we need to go? I asked as her descent seems to go on forever. Not too far now, and it's only been 20 minutes, Uzumaki-san. You sure? Because it feels like hours. And Urahara, just call me Naruto. You too as well, Yoruichi, Tessai. Sure Naruto-kun, you can also just call me Yoruichi-chan, the dark-skinned beauty purred out. Of course Naruto dono, Tessai said. Just call me Kisuke as well, Naruto, my fellow blonde said. Another minute passed and we're still climbing down. How much further is it, Kisuke? I asked. Not far now. I'd say about another 10 minutes of climbing. My left eye twitched and I began contemplating whether or not I should just jump down, but thankful Kisuke was joking. After 5 more minutes of climbing down the ladder, welcome to my secret underground training ground. Impressive was the first thing I said at the sight of the large training ground. If I had to guess the sheer size of it, the area was large as a small village of Nami. A large dome-like room with a ceiling and walls painted to resemble a cloudy sky over a floor of desolate brown craggy land dotted with dead trees and small mountain hills. The pace reminded me of the battlefield he fought Madara at, or at the very least the area was similar to a Wagakur's landmass. My keen eyes saw several outlines like pattern resembling that of seals and seal formation. I assumed that it was some sort of dimension seal. The latter is self-explanatory as it allows the user to create a pocket dimension, or put this way, the user creates a bubble, and within that bubble is the user's own dimensional space. A plane of existence solely belongs to the user and theirs alone, to do as they please. I can see a distinct outline around the area. Is it similar to a dimension seal? I asked. In a way it is, he confirmed. I built this place using the technology I managed to grab before we left Soul Society. I finished this place within a single day and night, he explained. It amazed me that souls, dead souls, could construct such things. Well, aside from fighting, making a child, etc. Yeah, those kinds of things surprise me, makes me wonder about Iro-sennin and everyone else who dies. And I bet is writing his usual porn novel and peeping on women. I hope he doesn't peep on Kami, and if he does, may she have mercy on his dead soul. Speaking of Iro-sennin's books, by the way, Kisuke, do you know any publishing company that can publish these book series? I unseal an volume, one of Icha title Hot Summer Love, corny title, but med work, and handed it towards Kisuke. Both Kisuke and Yoruichi decided to read the book and gasp in sheer amazement, then gained this strange gleam in their eyes. Then they let out an all too familiar giggle. This is amazing, Naruto-kun, Yoruichi started before looking at me with seductive and mischievous eyes. Want to try some of the scenes out, she purred. I literally suppress a shudder at how sexy she sounded. Calm down, you can win this, I told myself. Then I smiled and tilted my head slightly. Sure, but those scenes are tame compared to the other ones I help out with. You see, I wrote some of the other series, such as this one. I unseal another series which was titled Bestial Rough Love, which depicted me and Kurumi having sex. Intense, wild, wonderful sex. Kurumi giggled, recalling our heated session together. My Naruto-kun, I never thought you had it in you to show other people our mating session, she joked. I smirked when I saw a red blush form on Yoruichi's cheeks, maybe because how the scene starts. Wild and extreme with a bit of S&M. I remember the first time you ravaged me. Fufu made me think you weren't a virgin. Fufu. I did not have to see to know her expression, or the fact that she was drooling. I could easily tell just by the tone of her voice. So how about it, Yoruichi-chan? You can turn into a cat if you want, with a bit of adjustment, say keep your voluptuous body, and just add the cat features. While I tie you down with your legs spread afar and have my clones work on you before I step in, well, I'll transform into my humanoid fox form till we can properly enact the scene, I seductively said while looking at her with hungry and lustful eyes. Better yet, let me show you. I quickly activated my Sharingan and place her under a gain jutsu that showed her just what I had in mind. Few seconds later a trail of blood fell from her nose before she promptly passed out. Uchiha fell on the ground laughing and clutching his sides. That haha was haha, he couldn't finish his sentence due to laughing. I chuckled a bit and carried the purple-haired beauty bridal style. She seems to respond or something because her head snuggled into my chest, causing me to smile and blush a bit on how cute she looks. Where's her room, I asked. Her room is next to yours on the left, and I'll make some call to a guy I know that can have this book published. I thanked Kisu before I shunshed both of us upstairs and carried her to her room. I set her down gently and silently walk out, but before I did I took note of a photo of her and a young girl with grey eyes and black hair. Both looking happy, must be someone important to her, I concluded. I went back to Konan's room and sat on a corner of the 200 square feet room. I hope you awake soon, Konan-chan, I thought as my eyes slowly close, letting blissful darkness overtake me. Soon I found myself inside my mindscape. Well, let's train, I said. Naruto-kun, you should start mastering Banbutsu SMZM first. I and Kagaya here can assist with it. I raise a brow and glance curiously towards the former goddess. Don't look confused, I'm only helping you so the odds of you surviving increases. My life is literally depends on you staying alive, she stated coolly. Now enough questions, let's begin. Due to the different nature of your Rinne-Sharingan, you won't be able to create life, like how I and my son did. But you can create any inanimate object such as weapons or even food. The requirement is that you must know the composition of the weapon and food to properly create it and enhance it. Say you made a katana sword. Once you created the blade, you can enhance its composition, such as its weight, length, and sharpness. That's the second requirement, your imagination. Banbutsu SMZM is only effective as far as your imagination goes, Kagaya explained. That's only for inanimate object, because unlike animate object that has life, it will take its own characteristics based on what it was originated from. Such as me and my siblings, my personality stems from a fox imkai, a kitsune imko are generally lustful, mischievous, and passionate demons who yearns for their mate touch, which reminds me she suddenly jumps me and capture my lips in a fierce, heated kiss. I was caught off guard, but I quickly shook it off and returned her gesture. Naruto-kun, I heard a distinct voice calling out my name, but I ignored it. Naruto-kun, wake up, there it is again, and why did it sound familiar? Slowly I opened my eyes and saw a familiar color of amber gray. My body shoots up realizing that Konan was awake. Konan-chan, I cried out happily, and in my happiness I tackled her back to the bed. My brain quickly realized what I've done and the compromising position we are currently in. I quickly back and look away with a small blush on my face. Sorry about that, I'm just I trailed off from there. No, it's fine, I don't mind. I must have bad hearing, because for a second there I thought she stuttered a bit. Naruto-kun, where exactly are we? And how are we even alive? She asked. I gave the rundown on everything that has happened last night. I see, she simply said, seemingly unaffected by the whole situation, but then again I never once seen her uncompassed or even lose her calm expression. Right, now let's go downstairs. She nodded and followed me behind me. For some reason I felt like today was going to be very eventful, and I didn't know why. Naruto stared at his fellow blonde with a slight gape mouth. You want me to do what? He couldn't believe what Uchiha was asking him to do. Sure, it won't be difficult, no scratch that it is difficult, and it's something he would not go through ever. Oh, don't be like that, it will be easy, plus you can have Konan sent to help you with this, Uchiha said, waving his fan. Naruto pinched the bridge of his nose in slight annoyance. No, I will not pose as a teacher to watch over some kid with Shinigami power and your little experiment, He stated firmly. Come and think of it as paying rent till you two have a place of your own, plus you owe me. Oh, and what do I owe you? Simple, I called in a few favors and got you an editor to publish your novel, which was difficult to do considering the kind of book you want to publish, Kisu pointed out. Naruto sighed. Fine, I'll pose as the new advisor with Konan being my assistant teacher, happy. Yup, he said, smiling victoriously. Anyways, let's change topic. You wanted to fight a hollow, for what reason? I want to test whether or not our jutsu would be effective against hollows or shinigamis. Kisu gained a thoughtful look before speaking. In theory, yes, since chakra, from what you told me, is also comprised of spiritual energy. I'll have a hollow lure ready for you, just give me 30 minutes, but what kind of hollow you want to fight? Let's start with the basic hollow before we go up a tier, get a feel of the enemy. Also, Naruto turned his head towards his blue-haired companion Konan. You'll be staying here for the remainder of the day, till your body fully recovers. He spoke with a tone that left no room for denial. Konan stoically nodded, though it only hid what she truly felt. Her body still felt weak from her chakra being taken from her, and she knew Naruto would never risk her for anything. This fact, and the fact that Konan knew the blonde has feeling for her. I do wonder, when will he admit his feelings? Though she spared a quick glance towards a black cat that was sleeping on top of Naruto's head, she could be a competition to contend with. No, I'm already ahead of her, and second only to the Kurumi-san. She already knew about Naruto's relationship with the Kyuubi. Strangely though, Konan didn't mind, and she never once doubted her feeling or her ability to read people. She knew Naruto would love and treat her the way she wanted to be treated. He proved that during their months of training and bonding. He just has this way of making you believe and trust him in a way that was not manipulative. It was a certain unique characteristic and charm that Naruto has, one that captivated Konan and convinced her to stay by his side. Okay, and you could ask the cat on top of your head for a spar to get a feel on how to fight a Shinigami. Kisuke suggested. Naruto would nod if he could. I'll ask her later, it is rather rude to disturb someone when they are sleeping. He for one cursed at the sun for always disturbing his wonderful dreams of Ramen and Kurumi mixed tighter. Fufu, is Naru-kun feeling horny again? Kurumi asked. No, we went at it for 16 hours, are you not satisfied? I am, for now anyways. But we seriously need to talk about your ramen fetish. It is not a fetish, and beside you didn't exactly compliment Naruto. Shoot back. Of course I didn't, I was deep in ecstasy so I couldn't say no. She said back smoothly. Still, I have no fetish. Sure you don't? Oh, and Urahara is trying to get your attention. I'm sorry, did you say something? Kisuke, Naruto asked while mentally grumbling at his mate. Said blonde, only sweat drop. Yes, I was suggesting that both you and Konan go out shopping for new cloths. Just give me the latest catalogs of clothing for both males and females, since I'm working on mastering the Banbutsu SMZM technique of mine, you know what, I'll work on that now. Naruto gently places still asleep Yoruichi on a soft pillow before going down to the training ground. Let's see, 100 or so Kage Bunshin should do it. Kagaya, I need you to walk me through the technique. The blonde requested. Fine, the former goddess answered. Now, as I said before, the technique is only limited to your imagination, but the trick is that you had to have an idea of the item's composition. So I suggest you start with something you are most familiar with. The wide smile formed on the blonde's lips at her idea. Oh, I got something. I'll join you, Naruto, Konan said in her typical stoic voice. Naruto blinked once and nodded. He guessed she wanted to observe or do some stretches. So what you think of those two? Kisuke asked Yoruichi once Naruto and Konan left. They remind me of me and a certain student of mine, she replied, still in her cat form. Oh? Really, he inquired. In a way, yes, she started. Konan acts like how my little Bido, stoic and a bit uptight, but shows emotions when Naruto is around or does something to elicit an emotion respond, just like what happened earlier. You did feel her sudden shift, correct? Of course, though I have to give her props at how masterfully she hid it. Kisuke said. Yoruichi nodded in agreement. Yes, and Naruto in a way is like me. Kisuke snickered at that, recalling how the two interacted last night. Which the purple-haired beauty noticed. Yeah, laugh it up. But I will get him even with him soon, very soon. She stated cryptically. Kisuke shivered slightly at seeing the evil glint in her eyes and silently prayed for his fellow blonde. My friend, I hope you survive whatever Yoruichi has in store for you. As I was saying, Naruto and me are similar in a way, I can tell just by looking at him, but at the same time we have our differences. The only thing I can point out is life experience, his eyes says it all. Kisuke nodded at that. Naruto eyes shows maturity far beyond his age and experience that comes with it. Yes, when he told us a bit of his world I can tell he faltered ever so slightly at describing certain things such as his clan, the Uzumaki. That's another thing you two are similar with, both born into a royal clan, but neither acts like they are from royalty. Yoruichi chuckled at that. Well, we don't have a stick up our ass, that's why. She said with a grin. Kisuke only laughed at that. I'm sure he doesn't look like the serious type, then again I could be wrong, we don't know much about him, but he trailed off suddenly. But the cat made elaborating gesture with her paw. But I feel like we can trust Naruto, I don't know why though, and I just meet the guy. I feel the same way, and he didn't do anything that would affect us, otherwise we would have sense it. Kisuke nodded. It could be an ability of his, but as you said we would have sense if he did anything. So it could just be part of his character, we'll have to wait and see. He concluded before leaving, presumably to work on the hollow bait, while Yoruichi headed down to the training ground to observe Naruto further. Down at the training ground, Naruto was panting slightly but was grinning at his creation. Konan-chan, I the great Naruto Uzumaki. He started dramatically. Present to you the pyramid of Ramen. He ended with even more dramatically. Konan sweat drop at his antics and started at the 10-story pyramid composed of nothing more than steaming bowl of ramen. Ain't it beautiful? The blonde said, sniffing slightly and wiping a stray tear from his right eye. Something must be really wrong with Naruto-kun, the brunette thought. My, what's this? The two former elemental nation ninja turned their heads and saw Yoruichi, in her human form, who was grinning in amusement. The smile on the blonde only grew. Allow me to introduce to you the great pyramid of ramen, haha. Yoruichi chuckled at that. Is the ramen edible? She asked. If it was possible, the smile on Naruto's face was near face-splitting. Yes it is. He channeled a bit of his chakra into his feet and took a ramen bowl from the top of the pyramid before he touched down near Yoruichi. Try the food of the gods, my dear Nico-chan, courtesy of yours truly. He with benevolence and had this strange glint in his eyes. Yoruichi eyed warily at the bond for a second before accepting the food and took a bite, her eyes widened. This tastes amazing right after she said that she started devouring the ramen like she hasn't eaten in years. Naruto clenched his fist and had a proud expression on his face. Another brought to the greatness that is ramen. Konan inwardly groaned a bit. Oh great, she thought dryly, and decided Naruto needs something else to concentrate on other than his food fetish. Naruto-kun, now you have the handle on how to use the technique. I suggest you try making weapons or clothing. That snapped the blonde out from his current state of mind and nodded. Yes, you correct Konan-chan. I try clothing. Naruto inhaled and exhaled to focus his mind. Banbutsu SMZM. There was a sudden flash of light for a few seconds before it vanished. In place of it were a pair of cloths that Konan recognized. My cloths? How? Well, we've been together for a while not, so you shouldn't be surprised if I knew the kind of cloths you wore down to its fabric, he simply said. A small pink hue appeared on Konan's face at that, but she smiled nonetheless. It felt nice that someone you like knows you and took notice of things other than certain assets. I'll try them on, she stated before picking up the clothing. And no peeking, she added with a glare. Yes ma'am, Naruto said and turned around. You sure he won't peek? Yoruichi whispered. Konan nodded confidently. Yes, Naruto-kun is not like most men, he won't break my trust or his word, which is one of his best qualities. She spoke with a small smile on her face. Konan then removed her shirt exposing her large bust, making Yoruichi whistle. Wow, you're about to need a low F cup, Konan-san, the purple-haired beauty said loud enough for Naruto here. She glanced toward said blonde and frowned when she saw him covering his ears. It seems he anticipated this. No matter, I'll get him soon, she thought mischievously. Once Konan finished, she took notice of a minor detail. It's a bit smaller than my original. Her upper robe squeezed her breast slightly, making her chest look bigger, and her form-fitted pants that also functioned as her shoes was skin-tight, showing off her wide hips in a tantalizing way. Well, he does admire my body. Konan would sometimes catch Naruto looking at her body, but not in a perverted way. It was more like admiring a great piece of art. You can turn around now, the brunette said. Naruto turned around and nodded to himself. Looks good, does feel like your normal cloths. Konan nodded yes, though a bit tight, she said offhandedly, getting a small pink hue on the Jinchuriki's face. He's sorry about that, still in the learning curve, he said sheepishly. Yoruichi sent an impressed look at the blue-haired beauty, at how quickly she got the blonde. Well, they've been together, so it is not a surprise, he mentally concluded. A technique like that I'm guessing takes up a lot of energy, and you would need to know the composition of the item, correct, she asked. Naruto nodded and took note of the purple-haired beauty's bipitical ability. Yes, he answered simply. Then I propose that we go out shopping for clothes, that way you know the different composition and style of each clothing, and you wouldn't need to keep on making clothes, she offered with a sincere smile that hid her true motives. Naruto thought about it and nodded. Sure, he said. Konan-chan, do you want me to conjure up a coat for you or a jacket, he asked. A jacket if you please. Naruto nodded and concentrated once more. A few seconds later, a dark blue form-fitted jacket appeared that had a red cloud design on the upper left side where the heart was located. Konan smiled at that and knew what it meant. Thank you, she said as took the jacket and zipped it up. Yoruichi giggled. If the two of are done flirting, let's go, she teased, and was amused when she saw the two blush ever so slightly. Both nodded and trailed behind the purple-haired vixen, though Naruto had this sinking feeling that Yoruichi was planning something, and his prank side only confirmed that. What's your game, Yoruichi? Scene change. Karakura Mall. Yoruichi, why am I in a women's wear shop? A slightly irritated Naruto asked. Yoruichi smiled a bit for research, silly. She stated you have to know the latest updates in women clothing. Naruto nodded, but nonetheless felt unease since the women in the shop were slightly glaring at him in disapproval, while some were dry humping him with their eyes. He also didn't fare well with the male populace as they were looking at him with jealousy and contempt, while some, well, you get the idea, this feels weird, could this be her plan, he thought. Okay, now Konan, let's start with one of the most important cloths for women, bras and panties, Yoruichi said with a grin. And Naruto-kun, count yourself lucky, because you get to judge, the purple-haired vixen added before dragging Konan, inwardly laughing at the look on Naruto's face. Not a minute later, a blur went past Naruto and into the changing room. The former elemental nation shinobi heard the sounds of feminine squeal and giggled before the curtains opened and blood began rush to both his heads. There standing in front of him was Konan, wearing a link pink bra with shoulder straps and eye black closure, garter straps matching lingerie panties. Next was Yoruichi, who wore a black long dress with laced cups, matching thong garters, and was open, showing off her well-toned stomach. What do you think, Naruto-kun? Yoruichi asked in a seductive voice. Do I look good, Naruto-kun? Konan asked, and damn her and her sexy innocent voice. Naruto took in some air, trying to calm down his growing erection. Not trusting his words, he gave them a nod and a thumbs up. Good, we have more to try on, Fufu, the former Shinigami said with a mischievous giggle. Yoruichi then changed to a lace shelf underwire bra and open cross front lace thong. Does it look good, she asked, shaking her hips in a teasing manner. The blonde cursed the purple-haired beauty as he finally figured out her plan and knew he couldn't act out seeing as all the women in the store was currently trying to put a hole in between his eyes with their death glare. Naruto did what every man could do, he just nodded and braved on. Next after her was Konan wearing a very sexy dark red lace bra top with black ruffle detailed, mini black bows and matching thong. She gave the most innocent yet sexy look any normal women could only dream to have. Naruto-kun, is it appealing? Naruto prayed to whatever deity who was listening to give him strength at beautiful on you. Yoruichi came out next wearing a black polka dot mesh corset with padded cups, boning and back hook. A ruffle shorts with bow detail, and garter strap stockings. Konan stood next to her wearing a sexy dot mesh camisole with lace underwire cup satin bow design and matching thong. Dear Kami, I might not survive this, he thought, and once again curse himself and Yoruichi. After a minute of torture, Konan and more importantly Yoruichi finally stopped picking their bra and panty set, much to Naruto's relief, since he was sure if it had continued, he might have taken both women right then and there, with a concealment seal and jutsu to cover the activity. Thankfully Yoruichi didn't drag him to another sexy clothing show, but he did in fact saw the look she sent him, and he knew what it meant. I got you. Naruto knew he had to get her back, his pride and honor demanded. I'll get you back, Yoruichi-chan, he thought as he paid for the clothes, the money he received when Kisuke bought several copies of Icha Bookum. Maybe I could turn this event as an inspiration, yes, that could work, he thought as the cogs in his mind began turning. We're done, Naruto-kun. Naruto turned to see Yoruichi wearing a white long sleeves polo that was only buttoned till her abdomen and blue form-fitted jeans. Konan had a red scarf around her neck and wore a black sleeveless V-neck shirt and dark blue skin-tight jeans. Naruto nodded and gave a long whistle. I don't know if it's your beauty or natural sexiness, but the two of you make these normal cloths look sexy, he complimented with a charming smile. This got the two of them to smile and thank Naruto for the compliment. Come and let's get something to eat. The two women nodded. They settled on a fast food restaurant called MC Howard after giving their ordered. Konan and Yoruichi sat at a table near the entrance and waited for Naruto when three males stood in front of them with lust-filled eyes. Hey, what, two fine women like you sitting alone, why not come and join us? Thug number one asked, wearing a worn-down black shirt with a skull design on it, leather jacket and blue baggy pant. Yoruichi rolled her eyes. Sorry, we're not interested in boys like yourselves, she simply said before turning away, and Konan didn't pay any sort of attention to them. Oh come on cutie, don't be like that, thug number two said with a dull-looking smile, we promise to treat you well. Konan glared at them coldly enough to freeze hell 10 times over, like my friend said, we are not interested, so leave, she ended with an emotionless tone. You bitches should be funking grateful that we're even considering your funking candy asses, the two of you need to know your place, thug number three snapped and was about to slap Konan when he was suddenly and abruptly sent flying. What's this? Couple of thugs bothering two Wonder Women, who happen to be my friends, Naruto said with a sickening sweet voice that made Yoruichi recall a certain female captain. Somewhere in Soul Society, a woman with a slender feature, blue eyes, long black hair which was tied as a large braid, E-cup breast which was hidden from view along with her body by her standard Shinigami captain uniform. Let out a cute sneeze. Someone must be talking about me behind my back, I don't like that, she thought, and a dark aura appeared around her, frightening her lieutenant. Back with our blonde hero who was currently staring down at the last two thugs with a bored expression. Here you guys, you food, Naruto said, ignoring the two thugs, much to their anger and annoyance. The blonde sat down in between Yoruichi and Konan. Today was right, Naruto asked offhandedly. Don't ignore us, you but thug number two was interrupted when Konan suddenly slapped him hard, sending him flying to a nearby trash can. You bitch, thug number one said and tried to slug Konan, but Yoruichi grabbed his wrist and making cried out in pain before the purple-haired beauty tossed the body next to his buddy. A security guard came to ask about what happened. After the brief explanation, the three thugs were arrested for attempted assault, the word attempted being the word. So when do you think Soul Society would to investigate? I highly doubt they didn't sense our presence, Naruto asked before taking a sip of coke. My guess is in a week or two, the level of energy you two gave out wasn't strong to cause any sort of harm. But they would still investigate nonetheless, Yoruichi answered before eating. Well, at least it will have time to train, Konan-chan, he asked his blue-haired companion. Konan nodded. Yes, I should recover within 2 days. I can't let you fight all the battles. The trio returned to the shop and saw Kisuke waiting for them at the door. Your Hallelujah is finished, she said before tossing a small green pearl, which Naruto caught. I've modified it to create a small field that would suppress the Hollow's spiritual energy. Also, I'll be coming along as well since I'm curious whether or not your chakra techniques could affect a Hollow. Naruto nodded and the two left to the outskirts of the town. So how many Hollows will this attract? Depends on how much of your yin energy you put in, Kisuke answered. Since yin chakra is the equivalent of spirit energy, as Naruto explained. Once you done that, just smash the pearl and wait for the part guest. He added. Naruto nodded and channeled about 5% of his yin chakra into the small pearl, before stomping down, crushing the pearl, and sending a wave of dark purple energy that seems to dance around the two blonde. Interesting, Kisuke thought with an bipedical eye and a serious expression. He felt the effect of Naruto's yin chakra, and it was equivalent to a second seat Shinigami. How much chakra did you use, Naruto? About 5%, he answered as his expression turned unreadable. Kisuke's eyes slightly widened. 5%, and the energy level is equivalent to that of a second-seated officer. He shuddered to think what Naruto's power would be like at 100%. You sure you want to keep the seal restraints? Not that I doubt your skills, Naru-kun, but Kurumi said, trailing off at the last part. It's fine, I need to adjust my power level once more if I wish to regain my former strength. That would mean I have to seal my power by half and tenth again. If there was a slight chance that he could regain his former power, he could take it, and his old training method was the best chance of that happening. His training is pretty straightforward. Use a restraint seal that would restrain his movements, speed, agility, and power depending on the level. In Naruto's case, around 60%, restraining 100. Naruto grunted slightly, feeling the effect of the seal, but brushed it off at the familiar feeling. Time to party, he thought when he saw a distortion. A Garganta, as Kisuke informed him, was a spiritual pathway connecting Hueco Mundo to the other worlds. About 50 hollows appeared and Naruto took their features. All of them had this pale white skull-like mask which formed their head some shape into horned animal heads, while other were almost demonic in nature. One Naruto noticed was this hole in chest. It's the same with any another person who has lost themselves and their hearts. They become hollow inside, and now I get to see a representation of it, he thought sadly. Kisuke suddenly tossed him a katana and blinked at him in confusion. I took the liberty of making you a pseudo-zanpakuton that would allow you to cleanse those hollow souls. Just channel your yin chakra into the sword for it to work. He instructed, explained. It was not in any way, shape or form an actual zanpakuton, only a replica made so the blonde could cleanse a hollow soul. Naruto nodded and channeled his chakra into the blade, causing it glow in a menacing dark purple aura. He gazed impassively at the incoming hollow. Don't interfere, he requested before charging in. Kisuke absently nodded and watched from afar. So how do you think he'll fare? A male voice asked behind him. Just sit back and watch, Shinji, Kisuke said to the male voice. Now identify as Shinji. Said person had brown eyes and jaw-length hair with a straight cut. He wore short sleeves polo with a striped tie, a blue newsboy bab, trousers, and black shoes. Fine, came his reply and sat down next the eccentric shopkeeper. But if the guy dies, it's on. He was interrupted when he heard a loud explosion. Glancing back towards Naruto, Shinji's eyes widened at seeing what appears to be a fire dragon incinerating a group of hollows before his fellow blonde finished them off with a pseudo-zanpakuton with quick efficiency. This made Shinji gawp. You said something about his death or him dying? Kisuke asked, covering the amused smirk with his fan. Shinji's left eye twitched at that. Shut up, the blonde barked back. Before he calmed down, is it me or is your friend holding back? He asked. Kisuke's eyes softened a bit as the blonde answered before continuing. Naruto feels bad for the hollows after hearing about what they are, or rather what made them into hollows in the first place. You can sense it, can't you? The power he holds. Shinji nodded. How do you even measure his power when his power doesn't even make sense? Kisuke shrugged at the simple. You don't or you can't. His energy level is too unpredictable, but you could say that's part of his personality. Shinji nodded. I'll take your word for it. He leaned back and watched Naruto. It seems jutsus can affect them. Try using your nature element, chakra. Naru-kun, Kusumi said as Naruto dodged an attack from three hollows before in a quick motion he sliced their heads off. Naruto mentally nodded and channeled his wind chakra into the blade. Photon. Shinka wind release. Vacuum wave. Visible compressed wind-like blades cut through two groups of hollows, cutting them in half or in threes. The rest of the surviving hollows roared in defiance and charged at the blonde. Let's see if this would work. Naruto outstretched his hand, and a hole formed, releasing a familiar black substance that quickly formed multiple medium-sized dark gold marbles. The Gundams shoot forward, hitting each hollow in between the eye. Some hollows managed to dodge the medium-sized truth-seeking ball, but was meant a swift end by Naruto's blade. He mentally ordered the Gundam to corral the last remaining hollows. I have enough chakra to use this. He summoned two shadow clones and formed one of his signature techniques. Gundamara Sengen Ultra Big Ball Spiraling Sphere. From a distance, both Kisuke and Shinji watch as Naruto formed a massive ball of pure energy that crushed the remaining hollows into dust. The funk was that? Shinji asked slowly and a bit scared. That must be one of his techniques. I must say I'm both impressed and slightly scared, Kisuke stated as he beepized the technique with his eyes. It would take a great level of control to compress, shape, and maintain that technique. That is pure spiritual energy manipulation at its best, something that few Shinigami can ever do, and the level of damage, it's extremely devastating, he added and nodded in respect towards Naruto. And he's holding back. Can you imagine that technique hitting you when he's not holding back? Shinji asked, shuddering at the mere thought. Nothing would be left, well, maybe a smear of blood on the ground as I think that would obliterate the body, Kisuke answered, and he too shuddered, unsure if his own technique could block something like that. Naruto saw a single hollow remaining. Leave, he ordered coldly, and the follow frightened complied with the blonde's order and ran. The blonde sighed and shunshin back. I was wondering when you'll make yourself known, Naruto said impassively towards Shinji. Shinji stood up and gave the blonde a bow. The name's Shinji Hirako Blondie, he introduced himself and look up, he regretted that. Don't call me Blondie, he stated slowly as a miasmic dark aura surrounded him and a demonic creature with 10 tails and a single eye, with a ripple-like pattern which spread over the eyeball, containing a pattern of 9 tomo. Is that understood, Shinji, he asked lowly. Shinji nodded his head quickly. Damn it, the same with Unohana, only worst, he thought in horror. Kisuke was about to make a remark, but Naruto's glare silenced him. Were you about to say something, Kisuke? The blonde asked nicely. Kisuke shook his head furiously. No, he said over and over again while waving his hand. Naruto smiled instantly. The dark aura and the menacing creature vanished. Good, well, I'll you back at the shop, and nice to meet you, Shinji, he said before he vanished in a swirl of leaves. Braid another retsu, nice job, Kisuke, Shinji accused dryly. Hey, I didn't know he could do that, Kisuke defended himself. But Shinji didn't believe him. Sure you don't, he said with a sigh. See you and good luck. I'll tell the other about our new ally and how scary he is, he said before vanishing via Sonido. Kisuke just sighed at his predicament and knew he had to think twice with the blonde. He still remembered the medical captain and scary she can be, especially during her day of the month. Now that was hell, he thought before vanishing via Shunpo. Time skip. Next day and scene change. Karakura High School. The class was a-buzzing with students of class 2. A talking of rumors floated around about 2 new teachers, and many of the students were curious just who their new sensei is. The door swung open, and the student saw the principal step in. Good morning, students, she greeted. Today, all of you will get to meet your new class advisor and his assistant, please step in. Instantly the guys and gals had mad blushes on their face, well with the exception to some, at their 2 new senseis. The first was a male with long untamed sun-kissed blonde hair, bright blue cerulean eyes, and 3 whisker marks on both sides of his face, giving him that wild look. He wore a black form-fitted long-sleeved shirt that showed the defined muscular and broad upper body, blue skin-fitted pants, and black shoes. Hey Omina, I am Naruto Uzumaki, but please call me Naruto-sensei. And the woman to my right is my assistant Konan, he said with a charming smile, getting massive and medium blushes from the female students. Konan wore a white long-sleeved polo that was only half-button, showing her black t-shirt and chest, and black knee-high skirt. Hello students, she greeted with her impassive and stern tone, giving her the appearance of a strike-oju or ladylike mistress. This was only enhanced by her half-frame glasses, which added an air of sexiness around her. I'll leave the 2 of you, as they say, to it, the principal said before leaving. Naruto smiled and took out a sheet of papers containing the names of every student under his and Konan's care. When I call your names, please acknowledge and stand up, so I would know what you look like, okay, he instructed. Inoue Orihime, Naruto called out. A young teen with a slender yet curvaceous figure, waist-length burnt orange hair with bangs tucked behind her ears with hairpins, and at least G-size bust. Here Naruto-sensei, Orihime said with a slight squeak, as their new sensei's eyes were on her like a hawk. No need to be nervous, Inoue, he said with a gentle smile which seems to ease her. Okay, next is Yasutora Sato. An extremely tall and muscular teen with brown hair with bangs that hung over his brown eyes. He appeared a bit older, but both former ninjas of the elemental nation could tell the difference of age. Here Naruto-sensei, Sato said with a bit of impassiveness. Naruto nodded and asked the teen to sit down. Ishida Uruk. A bespectacled teen of average height and slender build, fair-skinned with blue eyes and raven-colored hair framing both sides of his face. Here sensei. Ishida said, a bit too formal for Naruto liking, and the raven-haired teen reminded the blonde about the Hyuga clan head for his stiff and formal attitude. Relax, Uruk-san, no need to be stiff and formal, okay, said teen, nodded and sat down. Arasawa Tatsuki, a tomboy-ish teen of average height with short black hair and blue eye, a very lean frame, and high cup breast. Here Naruto-sensei, and sensei, can I ask you a question? Naruto nodded. So long it is not personal, then yes. Are you a fighter by any chance? Tatsuki asked, seeing the lean muscles of their new sensei, which simply screams capable fighter. Naruto nodded. Yes, I am, so is Konan-chan here, he said, and pointed at his quiet assistant. Why do you ask? Arasawa-san, are a fighter yourself? This time it was Konan who asked. Hi Konan-sensei, she answered. Naruto nodded. I figure since you are lean build and a bit muscular, not overly, just about right. Which is hard for some to pull off, so good work, he complimented with an honest smile. I agree with Naruto, Konan said, though her tone still monotone. Tatsuki slightly blushed at praise she was being given. Thank you Naruto-sensei, Konan-sensei. She said. Asano Kigo, 18 with medium long brown hair, brown eyes and a slim figured. Here Naruto-sensei, oh can I ask a question as well? He said with a tone that Naruto recognized but couldn't recall where he heard it. Naruto shrugged and nodded. Are you and Konan-sensei a couple he asked, which got him a smack in the head by Totsuki. Aka don't ask something like that, Totsuki scolded. But, Totsuki-chan, it's a legit question. Cried out a thin teenager with short light red hair with bangs on both sides and light purple eyes with red framed glasses. That also got her a smack on the head by Totsuki. Sorry about that Naruto-sensei, these two can be such bakas, Totsuki said. Naruto chuckled and raised his hand slightly. It's alright Arisawa-san, he said, still maintaining that kind smile of his to answer Asano-san's and Honchim-san's question. No, we are not. But we have been together for a while now, right Konan-chan? He asked the last part. Yes, and please refrain from asking any personal question, Asano-san, Honchim-san, Konan said with a cold tone which was accompanied by her piercing look. Said students nodded fearfully, though the latter was inwardly admiring Konan since the brunette had this strict mistress aura around her. Naruto continued with calling out his new students till he arrived at two certain names and was about to call them out when the door suddenly opened, revealing two arguing teens. The first was a fairly tall and lean-built teen with spiky orange hair, peach skin and brown eyes. The other was short and petite teen with light skin, purple eyes, black hair with several strands hanging between her eyes, and a low-cup breast. Naruto raised his hand towards Totsuki to stop her and mouth let them argue for a bit. A few minutes of arguing like a married couple and a bit of light insults, Naruto decided to stop them. Naruto cleared his throat, getting the attention of the two arguing teen. What? They snapped and quickly realized that everyone was staring at them, causing them to blush in embarrassment. Kurosaki Ichigo and Kichiki Rukia, he asked. Yeah, and who are you two anyways? That got him a head chop from Totsuki. Aka, show some respect, Naruto-sensei is the new class advisor and his assistant Konan-sensei, she scolded. Now apologies you baka. Naruto had a deja vu moment since it reminded him of his interaction with Sakura. Sorry sensei, he said. Naruto nodded and gestured for them to sit down. Okay, now that we are done with that, let us tell you a bit of ourselves. He said and turned his head towards his supposed assistant Konan-chan. Would you like to start? Konan nodded. As you all already know, my name is Konan, refer to me as sensei or Konan-sensei. My likes are origami, making origami, my friends, and sweets. My dislikes are perverts, arrogance, and anyone who dare harm my friends. My dreams is too personal to explain, she finished and took a quick glance towards her Naruto, since her dream was to one day settle down with a blonde and have a family. Okay, my turn. Once again, I am Naruto Uzumaki, but please call me as Naruto-sensei. Things I like and things I hate, I don't feel like telling you that. My dreams for the future, never really thought about it. As for my hobbies, I have lots of hobbies, he said off-mindedly, causing everyone to look at him with a deadpan look. Now, aside from being your class advisor, I am also your values teacher and history teacher, but the latter will be taught by Konan-chan. He started getting nods all around. Now I have rules that I hope all of you will follow. First rule is no fighting, you can roughhouse as you like, but I do take exception, an example was with Arisawa-san. Second rule, no obscene and illicit behaviors. Failure to do so. Naruto trailed off, and suddenly the room's temperature went cold and the light dim as a dark miasma filled the large classroom. It was even worse when they saw their new advisor's sickening sweet smile, which Rukia recognized. Okami, it's the same smile on Ahana Taichuha, she thought in fear, and even more so when a demonic mask appeared behind the blonde and had this evil stare and sadistic smile with blood dripping out of it. What the funk is that, Ichigo thought in fear and was close into turning to his Shinigami form. Will be punished, do I make myself clear, he said with a sweet tone that promised nothing but pain. All the students furiously nodded their head. And just like that the aura vanished. Good, yes Kichiki-san, do you have a question? Naruto said since Rukia was raised her hand, which was shaking a bit. Yes, Naruto-sensei, what was that? She asked about the mask. What do you mean? Naruto asked back with a genuine innocent look. What? That mask and that miasma. Rukia was now confused as everyone else in class. Naruto sighed. Did you forget to eat breakfast, Kichiki-san? Since you are starting to see things that are not there, he said, and look at her like she was a 5-year-old child, you must always remember to eat your morning meal and take care of your body, he scolded her, like how a parent would his child. Rukia started spurting out words and sigh in frustration. No more question, Naruto-sensei, she said. Naruto nodded. Good, now for my first lesson, he started. The rules I've stated are important as any other rules dictated by society. Since those who don't follow the rules are trash and scum, he said, getting a nod in acknowledgement, though a skeptical look from a certain orange-haired teen. But those who abandon their friends and comrades are worst than trash and scum, he added. Yes, the rules are important, but if you abandon your friends and comrades or anyone precious to you, then you are worse than filth, remember that. Hi Naruto-sensei, they all said in unison. Naruto smiled. Okay, let's continue, he said and started his lessons. It's been 2 months since me and Konan started teaching at Karakura High School. It was 2 weeks of getting the handle of being sensei, 5 weeks getting known and bonding with each student, 3 weeks of working on patterns of taking down hollows without being too suspicious or arousing suspicion from two certain spiritual aware individuals, and it has been successful. I managed to bond and create a sort of trust bridge with each of the students, helping them with some shortcomings, issues, and generally just being there to listen. Which made me a favorite teacher among the students of the school. I guessed I was the cool teacher. Konan was titled the Ice Queen of the school because of her cold and calm complexion, but in a good way. She's strict, that's for sure, but Konan isn't overly strict. She knows where to priorities with students and gave them what they need rather than what they want. Sure, some students are put off by this and some viewed her as a bane of sorts. But it pays out as Konan in a way is properly nurturing them with proper discipline, not counting my reprimanding of any blunt illicit activities or violence, and proper care as any teacher should be doing. Both of us work on areas that students tend to suffer at, be it a subject or social thing like confidence or self-image. We both teach that a person's outward appearance matters only 35%, then your inward appearance, which is 65%. If people can't accept you for who you are, or if society deems you an outcast, then funk them, you are who you are, and if you can't accept it, then you are no better than a robot or a doll. Konan and we teach our students to be self-confident and accept a more positive side to themselves, rather than what society wants. As a teacher, I feel it necessary to give proper care and growth to the students and teach them proper fundamentals that they can learn to better enhance themselves for themselves and not what other people say or think what they should be. I've shared with my students who felt like an outcast that I myself am one, though with a change of details, explaining enough for them to see I myself was in their shoes and the hard work I did to be where I am today. Not what people or society wants or say, but what I want. Same goes with Konan, though only a bit, as she is a bit touchy about it, and again a change in the actual detail. As I said, I've bonded with each student some more than other, even the stiff 4 eyes. To name a few, one is Tatsuki. The tomboy-ish teen had asked me for some training and some martial arts. How she knew? Well, it was one morning and I was out jogging to an open creek. Once there, I re-practiced some of my old taijutsu moves, which is a mix of the frog taijutsu combined with my own made taijutsu, which concentrated on my body's flexibility, natural speed, and my senses. She apparently was intrigued and hype at seeing my taijutsu that she asked if I could train her. I said yes, because apparently even with her tomboy-ish look, she still managed to pull out a puppy dog eye technique, and I am a sucker for it. So I told her that we would practice on off-school days, same place. And I must say Tatsuki is a fast learner and has some of the basics down, since I had to teach her first my personal taijutsu without clones. Aside from me, Tatsuki has also bonded with Konan that they are in friends. It happened when Tatsuki asked her to a spar, which ended with Konan whining, not surprising, as she can easily take down any A-rank nins. After the spar, Konan lectured the dark-haired tomboy teen on her faults and misses, instructing her mistakes and misdecision, as well as areas she needed to work with, like any proper instructor would and should. Konan did praise Tatsuki of her speed and quick adaptation to the basics of my taijutsu, noting despite the slight masculine figure she still retained some flexibility, which is key to the taijutsu, and speed. Next was Orihime, a bubbly girl with a bit of Tatsuki's personality mix into her otherwise nice personality. One thing interesting about her is her taste in exotic food, and by exotic I mean her strange food. Like that broccoli sweet ramen she made, it pushed my cast iron stomach to its fullest, and Kurumi's along with my natural healing ability to survive the first bite. I question how she's able to finish her food, to which I conclude it goes to her large breast, which was about the size of Samui-chan's chest if not slightly bigger, or rather just behind Tsunade-ba-chan just a little bit. She's sweet girl, and at times I find myself comparing her with Hinata, but after getting to know her more, I found that I can't compare either of them. Orihime is nice and sweet, no doubt about that, but she has this sort of cynical humor towards some things and a bit close-off personality to those she doesn't fully know. A bit mature for someone her age and at times a bit blunt at times. Heck, if it weren't for the gossips I've heard about her, which I don't usually pay attention to, I might have thought that she has a crush on Ichigo. But no, she doesn't. Instead, she views him as her pseudo-older brother. From what I've learned, Ichigo long had helped her in the past, along with Tatsuki with helping her come into terms and generally help her with being well alone. Both parents were dead and her brother, her only family left, died. Anyone would be wrecked with grief, but somehow she manages to pull through thanks to her two pseudo-siblings. Though in fact she did have a liking to Ichigo and Tatsuki. Yes, he plays for both teams, but she soon realized that her feeling were more of sibling variety than anything else, and she was in fact projecting some of her feeling that she had with her brother towards Ichigo, in a sibling kind of way, same with Tatsuki. In fact, her blunt personality may or in fact be from Ichigo, since he himself is a blunt person, the same as me in a way, I guess, well, smallish kind of way. Orihime does have her personality and does have a good outlook on life, thanks to the few friends she has, which if I think about it is how I got by. Well, it's better to have few friends that you can trust than having a lot of friends who will later leave you high and dry. We've easily bonded since her personality, although a bit close is still diverse enough to be inviting to know her. It started when I took up the cooking class. Yes, the school does teach home ec class, as clearly Konan fully took the history class from me. Which I don't mind as it since Konan has an act for the two subjects. So I took up cooking and teach her how to make a proper meal that would not give a person a hell of a stomachache. In this class I got to know her more, and I admit she is cute in her own way, and her body is not for someone of her age, and it's still filling out. Aside from me, Orihime is close to Konan a bit more than I am. Did I ask why? No, I did not. Why did I not ask? It is because whatever interaction they shared is between them. If either Orihime or Konan, or both, would want to tell me, they would tell me, especially the latter as she trusts me the most and vice versa. Ichigo is another example along with Sato, both from what I could tell are friends with a history together, not that kind of history. They both lost people they cared about. From what I've heard, Sato lost his grandfather who was his only family member, and Ichigo his mother right in front of him. Both were teased or bullied for their differences, like Ichigo's hair or Sato's height. In a way you could say both are similar but still different in how they faced each problem. It made them to the person they are today, in a positive way. Despite Ichigo's attitude, the teen is good once you get to know him, and his desire to protect what's precious to him is something both me and Konan nod towards too, despite his outward demeanor. Once you get past it, he's a great person to know. Ichigo was a bit hostile towards us, which I guess stems to some from his experience as a kid. In time though, his opinion on us change ever so slowly. This probably due to the fact that we do pay attention to each students and do our best to ensure they are properly taught and not judge them based on their grades, appearance, or attitude, which this school has a fair share of delinquents and attitude problem students. Neither of us care for that, we've seen and experienced worst anyways. It was that may have earned us a bit of his respect. Not that we are trying to please anybody. If they hate, then hate yous. Why should we care? Everyone is entitled to something, like an ass whooping of epic proportion. Sato is the silent type, but in light of this he a good person to know. I can tell once you earn his trust and friendship he can be loyal to a fault. A gentle giant if you will that I can tell has potential to be a great and proper fighter. But Rick, to be honest, reminds me a bit of Sasuke, and that's bad cause the story that moron of a major stick up his ass of a friend. But he does have some redeeming quality and has a good personality that tells me at heart he's good guy. So I will reserve my opinions as I get to know him more, but if he pulls off a Sasuke, then I will have to kill him. Half of the reason the war even broke out was because of him, of Sasuke, and I knew in the end he would do something funking stupid. So yeah, I'm keeping an eye out towards Uruk. Both mine and Konan's standing with the students is very strong. This got well pretty much Uruk or spiked jealousy among the staff. Which neither of us cared really about as none of them could do anything. Next is the first group of people that I and Konan met. In between weeks of getting to know the students and bonding with them, we've also got to know a bit more of the residents of Kisuke's shop and the owner himself. Though yeah, we still hide something from them as we haven't fully trusted them yet. It's the same with them. But it didn't really damper anything, well, slightly with the red-haired Gaki. He was still a bit sore about his room being trash and being flattened, understandable I guess. Between those I started my training with my new abilities, that and trying to get to know the former goddess. Well, she still is in her own right. There was some animosity, but she moved past that and the two started talking. As much as I blame her for what happened, I couldn't. As there were multiple people to blame, and on top of it was Black Zetsu, Kagaya's and humanity's negative will given form. Currently I was in Kisuke, who had became a fan of the Icha series, not surprising, and I was sparring with Yoruichi. Well, to her, it was more like a game of tag with the environment slightly altered for our current spar game. "What's wrong, Naruto-kun? Getting tired?" I hear Yoruichi say in a teasing manner. Shaking my head in a no, I looked to where she was and found her standing on a branch of a rather large tree. "No, I was just taking in the scenery," I said. The area I had asked Kisuke make was a copy of my old training ground 44, the Forest of Death, and I was impressed that he managed to recreate my old training spot, which was in between the red zone and the dark zone. The red zone was an area that is used to test chunins for their jonin promotion. While the dark zone is used to test for those who wish to join Anbu, and it is also an area in which the Anbu used for training from the large lake, thick trees, and the large drop, which was the borderline between that separated two zones. "Yeah, Kisuke did a great job with redesigning the training field, under your specification of course," she commented, jumping down beside me. "Still, he gets most of the credit. I gave out the design," I said. "It is really impressive since the place was made without the need to use jutsu. Well, if you don't the Kage bunch and free labor, then no jutsu were used in making this new training field." I could feel Yoruichi's hand slide around me, and before I could even ask she managed to snatch something out of my pocket, and that something was a green bandana belonging to a dear friend of mine who saved my life in exchange for her own, Rikusetsu. Regular POV. Yoruichi untied her hair letting her purple hair fall. Naruto had to admit she looked beautiful. She tied it around her hair, and for a second Naruto swore he saw Rikusetsu's face overlapping Yoruichi's own. Naruto-kun, this little spar of ours will be a game of tags of sorts. The challenge is that you try to take your bandana back. Hand-hand combat and our speed only. Naruto smirked in amusement. This day just got more fun. It sound more like a test than a spar. Yoruichi-chan, Naruto said, preparing for their spar. Yoruichi only smiled back and said, think what you will, Naruto-kun. But what you should be thinking is, can I keep up? And with that the two vanish with Naruto in pursuit of the flash goddess. Two fast blurs leap from one tree to the other. Naruto still in pursuit. Is that all you got, Blondie-kun? Yoruichi taunted the silver blonde male who gave a casual grin. Oh sorry, did you? He suddenly stop and appear in front of her. Then continue. Say something. Yoruichi was taken aback by his sudden speed, but quickly shook it off just as Naruto was about to grab his bandana. She gave him a swift mid-air kick, seeing this Naruto block it with her left arm. Using the moment she quickly speed past him, landing on a nearby tree, and Naruto did the same. That was a dirty trick, Naruto-kun, she said in a mock anger tone. Oh. I thought you would like it, dirty Yoruichi-chan, he responded in a teasing voice. A sly grin crept up on Yoruichi's lips. Oh, I do, Narukoi. But what should you ask yourself is like Naruto earlier. She vanished from sight and appeared in front of him delivering a right hook, which Naruto quickly blocked, but he was sent flying through the air by an upper kick. Can you handle me, Narukoi, she said, equally sounding seductive. From the air Naruto simply grinned. He was not hurt, no, he knew both of them were sizing each other. Let's find out together, shall we, Nico-chan? Naruto flipped in mid-air, then made an air dash forwarding towards his opponent with the full intent to deliver a straight punch. Yoruichi jumped out of the way just as Naruto's right fist made contact with the tree branch she was standing on, which was destroyed after Naruto's fist made contact with it. Naruto quickly followed his attack by using the tree as a jump board to propel himself towards the dark-skinned beauty. Yoruichi saw the air kick and duck under. Naruto followed with downward kick. Yoruichi jumped out of the way. Naruto quickly appeared in front of her and both engaged in a hand-to-hand combat. They traded blow for blow, but neither made contact as they either block it or dodge. Naruto sent a right kick, Yoruichi replied with her own left kick, blocking each other's own kick, and both were thinking in the same line of she's good, but I can tell he or she is holding back. Ignorant to the other thoughts. Naruto saw the thoughtful look on her face and gained a knowing smirk. Well, it's time that I step up a notch, Naruto thought. Naruto rushed at her with a sudden burst of speed, taking Yoruichi by surprise and sent her flying via uppercut. Just returning the favor, Yoruichi-chan, Naruto said as he jumped toward her, then sent her an axe kick. Yoruichi saw this and blocked it with her arms, but the force of the kick still sent her crashing back. Seeing the opportunity, Naruto quickly got behind her to retrieve his bandana. This got him an elbow, which manages to stun him just a little bit. But he shook it off just in time to see an incoming fist and substitute with a log. Praise the log, all hail the log, he thought, and thanks to the great log Kami. Well, Yoruichi was thought, I will never know where all this logs are coming from, she though dryly. Naruto twisted his body while in mid-air and rushed towards Yoruichi as she was trying to regroup. Naruto then used a right punch which Yoruichi blocked with her right hand, and then she quickly followed with a left kick which Naruto grabbed. Naruto still had a hold on Yoruichi's slender legs, then pushed her back against the tree they were standing on, essentially pressing his body with hers. Both got a feel of each other's body. Yoruichi blushed when she felt his tool and though his big, she thought. Naruto saw her blush and grin. What's wrong, Nico-chan? Getting bothered, Naruto whisper. Yoruichi shiver at his hot breath. Not wanting to be outdone, she wrapped her left leg around his waist. Naruto likewise responded by putting his left hand around her waistline. I don't know, Naruto-kun, you tell me, she said, pushing her impressive bust against his chest. She grins when she saw a pink hue on his face. Naruto knew her game. Using his free hand, Naruto cupped her face, then her lips in an intimate manner, then softened his gaze in a loving and wanting way. Yoruichi's heartbeat fasted when she saw Naruto's gaze. Her heart beat even more when saw him slowly lean in for a kiss. She didn't know what was going on, but her entire body heat up and her loins getting wet. She could see he was still leaning in for a kiss, so she responded by closing her eyes and perk up her lips to accept the kiss. But it never came. Instead he hear him say, got you, Yoruichi Haim. The very flustered Yoruichi opened her eyes to see Naruto leaning on another with his bandana on his right hand. She was shocked. She just got out tease. She never got out tease, especially from a man. Shaking of her shock, she grinned. Well, you won our spar. I have to admit that was fun, Naruto-kun, and you had me there for a second, she said. Naruto smiled at her and nodded likewise. I also enjoyed our spar. Oh, and you never know, I might have actually wanted to kiss you, Yoruichi-chan, he said. Naruto still had a hold on Yoruichi's slender legs. then push her back against the tree they were standing on, essentially pressing his body with hers. Both got a feel of each other's body. Yoruichi blushed when she felt his tool and though his big she thought. Naruto saw her blush and grin. What's wrong Nico-chan getting bothered Naruto whisper. Yoruichi shiver at his hot breath. Not wanting to be outdone she wrapped her left leg around his waist. Naruto likewise responded by putting his left hand around her waistline. I don't know Naruto-kun you tell me she said, pushing her impressive bust against his chest. She grins when she saw a pink hue on his face. Naruto knew her game. Using his free hand Naruto cupped her face, then her lips in an intimate manner, then softened his gaze in a loving and wanting way. Yoruichi's heartbeat fasted when she saw Naruto's gaze. Her heartbeat even more when saw him slowly lean in for a kiss. She didn't know what was going on, but her entire body heat up and her loins getting wet. She could see he was still leaning in for a kiss, so she responded by closing her eyes and perk up her lips to accept the kiss. But it never came. Instead he hear him say got Yoruichi Haim. The very flustered Yoruichi opened her eyes to see Naruto leaning on another with his bandana on his right hand. She was shocked she just got out tease. She never got out tease especially from a man. Shaking of her shock she grinned well you won our spar. I have to admit that was fun Naruto-kun and you had me there for a second she said. Naruto smiled at her and nodded likewise, I also enjoyed our spar. Oh and you never know I might have actually wanted to kiss you Yoruichi-chan he said before vanishing via Shunshin, leaving a very flustered Nico. Naruto's pav. After my spar with Yoruichi and once again gaining the upper hand in our teasing contest, I decided to take a look around the Karakura town and the city. Not counting the time when I was dragged to the mall, I never really explored the area as much as I should. So I decided today is a good day to explore and meet the locals. An hour in and buying several sweets and really good pastry, I sense a massive spike of yin, which is the term for spiritual energy chakra flooding the town so much so the people around me started fainting on the spot. Multiple garganta began opening up and hollows started flooding by the dozens of all shapes and size, we're ones to be exact, a party. And I'm party suit oh well I thought and formed two Rasengan and drive it into two hollows, following it up with a roundhouse kick to a hollow. Who might have thought it there is no gender specification, as all of them look like deformed beast was smart enough to get a drop on me, then I dodged three hollows who came it simultaneously. All the while I was still holding my bags of sweets and loaf of breads. Ton. Shinka. My vacuum wave technique tore through the three hollows like they were made of cheese. The vacuum wave was a technique I learned from Sasuke's memories when he copied it from Danzo. Basically the user takes a deep breath and spins while exhaling, compressing the air into a solitary blades of wind that can easily cover a substantial area around the user due to the circular motion. Okay who's the funker that done this I thought dryly easily deducing the bullshit that someone was behind this and for some reason I felt this a contest a beep and ego measuring contest. I sigh and made an army of shadow clones to protect the unconscious or possibly conscious civilians. Well at least I can't say that was boring or plain. I muttered and summoned the pseudo-Zanpakuton katana. The horde of hollows surrounded me and I look in between some of the ugliest I'm doing justice by sending them to the afterlife I concluded before I gave them a come hither let's dance I challenge. Like any other mindless beast they jump in. Dodge, slash, dodge, and slash of continuous motions as this were the low-leaved hollows so they posed no threat. I flared my yin chakra so I could attract more hollows to my location and less on the civilians that they could easily devour, which also attracted the attention of my partner Konan. It was a slaughter fest once the blue net arrived, sending waves of paper specially made by Kisuke to have the same effects as any Zanpakuton spears up in the air and prove her dominance over the sky, even as winged hollows tried to take her down. Now I knew why some, if not all, the people from Konoha were weary of her and her jutsu. While both of us were fighting the hollows I couldn't shake the feeling that we, or I, were being watched. It made me worry as I could not sense whoever it was, I concluded that they were observing us from a different far-away position as my senses, even as it was heightened, has limitation. This worried me and I knew Konan could see it. Before I could speak up I suddenly felt multiple shadow clones vanish and a large spike even more than what the current hollows were putting up. I look up to see the sky cracking like it was made of glass, making a large gaping hole, and a massive hand forced open a distortion, opening a pathway for a massive giant hollow. A jillion I muttered. From what Kisuke told me a jillion Arminos grand was this massive hollow that in a militaristic view were considered foot soldiers that a captain level Shinigami could easily destroy, any less, and they would be hard pressed depending on how strong they were or what level they were. 6 stories tall, easily dwarfing any current hollows me and Konan encountered. They all have a white mask with an elongated nose. Their bodies are covered from their head to their feet with a black covering reminiscent of a cloak. Around their neck is a row of thin white spikes. They have large pointed feet wrapped in white bandages. I say they because there was about 6 of them, but the last 2 were different but still massive. The first was this bulky creature with huge biceps, two small horns on its head, a heavily built upper body and chunky legs. The other was this furred creature resembling a knight carrying a large sword. And Itachi's hollows. From what I remember, these were the second classification of Minos. They are normally smaller than a Jillian, but these two were clearly not, and they are powerful enough to challenge a captain. I could feel the spiritual pressure they were putting out, and it was killing the civilians who were unfortunate enough to be near that vicinity, and even from distance, which was a fair distance about a mile or so away, civilians were slowly dying just from the spiritual pressure. Konan quickly wrapped all the civilians who were still alive and any that my clones managed to rescue away from the city, and I took to the skies and immediately headed towards those large hollows, all the while cursing at the idiot who done this. I swear, if I find out that it is a beep and ego measuring contest. Oh, I will shove a funking earth pillar just where the sun does not shine. I mentally swore, it's one thing to do stupid and it's another to do something this stupid that can cost lives. Plus I drop sweets and loaf of breads. You don't mess with man's food. That is a crime in and on itself. Seeing as the portal was still open, I could push them back to their world, Hueco Mundo. This at least would save the rest of the people of Karakura town who were still alive. All I need to do was get their attention, and the best way to do that is make myself into a large target, or rather a delicious food with my chakra. I dropped down into a nearby building and spotted three familiar students. Ichigo and Rukia weren't much of a surprise, but Uruk wearing a light blue outfit while holding in what appears to be an energy-like bow. A Quincy, but all of them were supposed to be son of Sasuke all over again. Though the circumstances may be different, it was still the same. I know for a fact that somehow, someway the black-haired teen was the cause of all of this mess. There was no time to think it over, as one of the Jillians moved towards my three students. Ichigo tried to wound the giant's foot with his large sword, which I hope that it isn't compensating for anything, but it was deflected. Oh well, so much for keeping a low profile, I thought, and jumped down in front of the three, surprising the hell out of them. Naruto-sensei. They exclaim in shock. Ignoring their shock, I flared my yin chakra, making it visible for everyone to see and attract the five hollows. My eyes morph into the Rinne-Sharingan Shinra tense. The gravity technique managed to push all five hollows back towards the portal, along with destroying several buildings in the process. I will have a word with the three of you after I kill these hollows, I stated, and before I jump in the portal I quickly added, Konan-chan, make sure they stay. So this is Hueco Mundo, I thought, staring at the endless white desert and night-covered sky. In a way this place has some beauty, albeit a somber beauty to it. This place, it represents the hollow's emptiness and hopeless feeling. Such a sad place you find yourself in, Naruto. Kagaya voice rang out. I suppose so, but at least won't have to worry about collateral. True, now pay attention to the enemy, she said. I know, I said, and dodge an incoming strike from the night like a Uchiha's from its massive sword. First I need to take care of the Jillians before concentrating on the two Uchiha's. I shunshin between the four Jillians, catching the four off guard and used Ton. Rinne-Sharingan Wind Release. Dragon Blade Spiraling Sphere. The technique I developed thanks to my mastery of both the Rasengan and my wind nature element, combining both into my blade. Resulting in a dragon of wind to swirl around, ripping the four Jillians with ease. I was not the type to underestimate my opponent and the situation I am in. There could be no room for error or fooling around. Drawing out the fight too long may also attract unwanted more attention. Once the Jillians were taken care of, I turned my attention towards the two Uchiha's. Impressive for a human, do you agree, Barba? The Night Uchiha's complimented, not surprising that it can speak, as Kisu commented on an increase in intelligence. Indeed, Gaius, this prey will prove a worthy entertainment. The Uchiha's now identify as Barba said, clearly amused in his tone of voice. I scoff at that remark. Don't get ahead of yourselves, I stated, and increased my power to 35%, or you will find yourself dead in matter of seconds. Oh? Think you can kill us, huh? This human is funny, Barba said while laughing along with his buddy. I responded by suddenly appearing right in front of him and slash his chest open, causing him to scream out in agony and pain as his blood sprayed out like a fountain. His friend did not have time to react as I delivered a devastating head kick and followed with a knee drop. Maybe it was my grandfather channeling through me, but I feel the need to show them their place. So I did by smacking them around like rag dolls, cutting areas around their bodies to make them bleed and suffer. This went on until I went for a minute and I thoroughly humiliated the two systematically with pain, so much pain. My, such a display of sadism, Naru-kun, Fufu, I approve, Kurumi said with a gleeful tone. Of course she would, and I am not surprised. Time to end this, I muttered and sheathed my sword before forming two massive Rasengans, Chundama Rasengan Ultra Big Ball Spiraling Sphere. Both Uchiha's gave out one final scream as my Rasengan shredded both of them like mince. Adding Kagaya's chakra and Karumi's might have been overkill. Oh well, I shrugged it off and was about to return Karakura town via Kamui, which was upgraded so I could open my own dimensional portal and would only work if I knew where the dimension is located, but was stopped by a weak pleading female sounding voice. Please wait. I turned to see a snake-like hollow, and by her appearance it seems she went through harsh battle and lost. Curse me and my kindness, I thought to myself, and summoned a shadow clone to head back. I had a hunch I might be here for a while longer. Kneeling down to the wounded Itachi's hollow, tell what happened, I asked while healing her. I theorized that if I could combine my yang chakra with my yin chakra, by doing so I could in theory heal spiritual beings such as Shinigami. A theory that was proven as Kisuke explained the attributes of my new healing technique is similar to Kaidem, which was known as healing Kidm. From his explanation it sounded similar to Shimsen Jutsu or mystical palm technique. This medical jutsu allows the user to speed up the body's natural healing process by their chakra from their hands into the wounded or affected part of the body. Due to my yang chakra, this healing process was severely enhanced to the point that I could heal someone who is near death. She first introduced herself as Saiyan Sung Sun and quickly explained that a group of Ajuchas which was led by a hammerhead Vasto Lord, along with the backstory. Apparently her mistress rejected the offer of the kind of Hueco Mundo, and the reason why her mistress rejected the offer, even in the afterlife, there are still beings who wish to trample over the weak and defenseless, treating them nothing more than pawns and trash. Though angrily, as it reminded me of my own treatment at the hands of the villagers. Sure, some forgave me, but that was only after I saved their sorry asses from Nagato. Who's to say they won't turn their backs on me? Another is that it reminded me of how Gato used to oppress the people of Nami until he was later killed by Zabuza. But why ask me for help? For all you know, I could be a Shinigami, or you might be overestimating my ability. I inquire. I don't know, but my instincts drove me towards this in you. Beside, I know you are not a Shinigami, since they would never aid a hollow that I can clearly smell you as human. She started, then gains a thoughtful look. I saw how you took down those two hollows with ease, and I sense you were holding back immensely and I encourage her to go on. And your gaze, they remind me of my mistress's own gaze. At my confused look she continued. What I mean is you two have experienced the same things. She started. I listen in and curious just what kind of being her mistress is. The aspect of sacrifice, she said, causing my eyes to widen slightly. The two of you gave up certain things for certain reason that left you with no other choice, but two I can't say anymore, as I would be telling my mistress's past, but all you have to know is. The two of you are somehow the same, and that fact compelled me to ask for your help. So will? She asked at the last part. Fine, take me to her, I told her, and she nodded. Her short explanation got me interested. Is it possible for a hollow to regain a shred of humanity or somehow gain something similar? And if Sung Sun words are to be believed, then I might have found another kindred spirit, aside from Konan, who understood the meaning of sacrifice. Plus this could be a perfect opportunity to gain an ally, plus I wanted to experiment on something. That something is another theory I've been working on alongside Karumi and Kagaya, but I need the right candidates for it. I blame Kisuke influence rubbing off me. I shivered in that. I followed the Ajucha's snake hollow to a large dune area and saw a humanoid female shark covered in wounds and slashes, but even though her body was on the verge of falling, her eyes still burned brightly with determination. I see, so that's why she's protecting her companions. On a side note, even as a hollow, the bond shark woman is quite beautiful, especially her eyes that burn with a desire to protect. Well, I've found an ally, I thought as I suddenly teleported between the hammerhead as he was about to strike the shark lady down, holding his weapon between two fingers. Yeah, 40% might be a tad overkill. My overkill is gravely underrated. Now is that any way to treat a lady, or are you so weak that you have prey upon a wounded warrior? Heh, pathetic, I mocked before delivering a chakra-enhanced kick, which was equivalent to Tsunade Bachan's super strength, sending him crashing back towards his allies. Forming a cross-hand seal, two clones appeared beside the shark lady, earning surprise looks from those who have not seen it. Heal them and take them to safety, I ordered. I could tell she was about to refuse, but Sung Sun made herself known to her mistress. Should have worn my party dress, I thought as I summoned my Gundama blades behind me, which look like I have 10 pair of wings. Sorry if I'm underdressed, but let's party, I challenged before charging and grabbing 2 Gundama blades. This was a new style I developed that made use of several key factors. Such factors include awareness on the battlefield, such as enemy location, position, and number. My control over each Gundama, as each blade circled around in intricate patterns while slashing the enemy. My speed and agility along with flexibility, which I have even before I was a genin by pranking the shit out of the villagers and some of the Anbu just for fun and mayhem. Mostly mayhem. The battle didn't last long, but I made it last longer than it should. I did so to test my new technique, and finding the weak spots are vital on the hollow's bodies. Each cut was deceived like a surgeon on steroids, each strike was deadly but not fatal, and each step was a careful but elegant dance that can only be seen in the battlefield. What are you? The hammerhead hollow cough out as he bleed out on the sand. Me? No one actually. Just you executioner, I said before cutting its head off, followed by his allies. Well, at least today wasn't as boring as I thought it would. I'm used before regrouping with my clones. But I did feel someone watching, 3 in fact. But before I could turn to the area where the 3 are, they suddenly vanish. It seems I've attracted some unwanted attention no matter. I deal with them just the same as I've dealt with these hollows. But I could guess who was watching and the reasons behind Sung Sun Mistress being attacked, but I would need to confirm this with Kisuke first. Yes, I too find it odd that Hollow would attack someone who is far superior to himself. Unless he was given a boost, which evidently that is a yes. I nodded agreeing with Kagaya's words as we share the same thought in the subject matter. I delegated those thoughts for later as for now I have a meeting with a shark lady and her companions, this should be fun or very problematic. Though this could prove useful for that project of yours. I know but I will not force them, that would make me no better than Orochimaru. I've seen the memories and even I must admit, he rather creepy. I nodded in agreement. The sun, back in my world, must have hated Orochimaru seeing how pale he is. In theory the jutsu has many applications, but it was never tried or tested, even Kagaya herself has not well deeper into the jutsu's true capability. But one such theory is possible due to my statues over life and death, or the beyond. Question is, can it work? Can I actually accomplish this? Why the hell do I doubt myself? I'm Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze Senju Uchiha. The world's most unpredictable shinobi. I defy fate and make the impossible, funking possible. Boss, both my clones greeted me, what is their status? I asked, among the 3 injured only the shark lady look worse, possibly even on the verge of death. The damage is intensive boss, so much so that the actual damage is, well, from what Sung Sun told us. It will prevent us from using our hollow ability, but in my companion's case, it will prevent them from evolving. The shark lady finished with disdain in her voice. She then locked eyes with mine, Aqua eyes meets Taijutsu eyes, and asked, thank you for your assistance, and may I ask if you could heal me and my companion as Sung Sun here as express your ability to heal. She said, thanking me first before asking. My Taijutsu eyes scanned their bodies, and it surprised me how similar the Tenketsu pressure points and energy pathway with any other ninjas from my world. It could be because of their humanoid forms or the need to distribute energy around the body. Unfortunately, nothing short of rebuilding their spiritual pathway system could fix the damage that has been done. I could do that, let's try it. Do you want the good news or the bad news? I asked. Bad news, the shark lady said, albeit with a slight frigid in her voice. I nodded, well, bad news is nothing short of rebuilding or recreating your spiritual pathway system can fix the damage that has been done to you and your 3 companions. It sounded really blunt, but there was no use of sugarcoating their situation. The shark lady took a moment, and I probably could guess why, before speaking. And the good news, she asked with a bit of hope in her voice. I quickly summoned the King of Hell, which surprises the 2 of them, since their 2 companions were still asleep. This here is my Funoel, and no, it is not the kind of hell, only its name. I explained before I blink. Well, it seems the 2 of you are awake. I said. What followed next were a series of shouting and accusation before the shark lady put an end to that and explained their situation. Now that the situation is clear to the 2 of you, I can explain. Clearing my throat, I continuing, my Funoel has the ability to reconstruct or repair the body of any living being, spiritual or otherwise. So in theory this technique will be able to repair the damage done to your body and possibly reconstruct your hollow body anew. Think of the last part as evolving further, I explained to the best of my ability. How is that possible? A human should not have such ability or power. Well, Apache-san, I am anything but normal. I said with a slight bitter tone which they somehow detected, a story for another day, but what you need to know is I have the power over the life and death and anything that falls under it with a bit of limitation that I have yet to discover fully, I said. I wasn't godlike, well, in terms of strength, and if I am at my true 100% then maybe I am. But, even in my current state, I'm still able to pull off feat of near god level with limitation, such as with the Banbutsu SMZM, I am only able to create inanimate objects, such as clothes or weapons, so long as I know the composition and makeup of the item. Well, even if, and that is a big if, I could reclaim my former power, I doubt that I would be able to create an actual living being. The composition that makes up a living being, such as humans, is completely different, complex and unique with each one. But I could create landmass, water, and forest, that was a given. Oh, and food like ramen, unlimited supply of ramen. Why? Why what? Tear-san. Why help us? What do you hope to gain? For you know we could be taking advantage of your gratitude and later kill you once we are healed. So I ask again, why? This time she narrowed her eyes dangerously as if she was assessing me, and to be honest, she probably is assessing me. I struck a thinking pose, well for one I hope to gain a new ally and possibly a friend. I started before continuing, and I know for a fact that none of you can harm or would harm me. The latter is because I can sense emotions, and the former it is because of my power. Sounds arrogant, yes, but the facts are I took down 2 Uchihas, 1 vassal lord and his groupies, using only 30 to 40% of my actual power. And even then I'm still holding back. I finished, and to prove my point I unloaded 50% of my power, causing the 4 of them to drop down on their knees before retracting my power. It may be due to either Kagaya, my grandfather, my prick of a best friend, or Kurumi channeling through me, but yeah, I kind of force my will upon them, letting them know the funking peaking ordered. Yu-chan, if only you could see me now, I though with a solemn smile, but she would hate to see me down on the dumps. Heck, I'm sure if Yu finds out I was depressing over her death, she could come back to life and kick my ass while swearing up a storm for being a gloomy funk. Got to love that woman, fierce as any Uzumaki. After much debating and convincing on my part and Sung-sun part, she seems to trust me. They agree to the procedure, step in, and don't worry, I swear upon my clan's name that I will not betray your trust, I swore, before they step in my Funoel. Once that was done I left the white desert hollow homeworld via Kamui. Unknown location and end of Naruto's POV. What a show, don't you two agree, asked an individual who looked like in his mid-20s, slightly pale skin, silver hair, his eye were in a constant narrower slit, has a wide mocking smile, thin and tall with very sharp features. The two he asked his question, the first was a dark-skinned male with purple hair which was tied back in a ponytail, and wore clear goggles covering his eyes. Indeed, to think a human would hold such abilities. He pauses for a bit before turning to the third individual, would this hinder our plans, Aizen-sama? Aizen merely smirked at Msen's question, and his menacing brown eyes held mirth of interest in them, interest in the blonde human that unknowingly interfered in his plans. But he wasn't worried, far from it. He was actually amused that a human could wield such power, and he knew the blonde was clearly holding back immensely. Interesting, whoever you are. You've just garnered my interest, he thought in amusement before deciding to answer Msen's question. No, Msen. This will not hinder our plan, nor will it set it back or slow it down. He stated confidently. Besides, I've planned to awaken him, he added with a sinister chuckle, causing the two to stiff in fear, knowing who the brown-haired male is referring to. Come today was amusing, and that human has earned a bit of my attention to test whether or not he's worthy of such, he said before leaving, and the two followed suit. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video guys, let me know in the comments section how was the story, and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video, bye bye.